Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Kimberly Olson, licensed clinical psychologist. And I'm bringing to you the last thing in the world you needed, which was one more video about Chris Watts. The reason I bring this to you is that I've been intrigued by my own fascination with this case. I mean, obviously, it's a horrific case. Any case where we have somebody who has killed his pregnant wife and children is going to pique curiosity. But I've noticed that I'm not alone in continuing to seek information and trying to sort of find some answer to the question, which is why? And I think the reason that we all keep on searching is because there's not a satisfactory answer to this question, which is scary. When we look at Chris Watts, he could be our neighbor. He's the guy who's bringing his kids to soccer practice, the guy that you go to church with on Sunday morning. Okay. Chris Watts is sort of every man. And if every man can do this, what does this mean about what we think we know about people? So let me take this back just a step. Um, with Chris's personality traits, and I'm going to be careful. I'm going to broad stroke call this narcissistic traits, and then with Shanann, more uh, borderline kind of traits, but I'll go into this more. Um, Impressions and appearance are incredibly important. Okay. And so, I mean, even more important than what's really going on is this idea of making sure that I look good, that I'm the nice guy, that I'm the hero, and that I have a positive sort of image. And so think about how Shanann and Chris met. Shanann was a very sick woman. I know some of you debate that, but I'm not an MD, so I'm going to go with it. And according to Shanann, Chris took care of her. Chris brought her in. Chris nurtured her. He made her feel important. In fact, Shanann says he's the best thing that ever happened to her. Tells you how powerful those feelings were. Well, with narcissists, they do something at the beginning of relationships called love bombing. And that is they identify what the need is, feed the need, fulfill the need in a way that you could have never dreamt was possible. Okay. They are the quintessential nice guy, the rescuer, the hero, everything that you've ever wanted. Okay. And when you're a person who has chronic feelings of emptiness and is afraid of abandonment to begin with, um, it may feel like that's the first time in your entire life that your needs have ever been satisfied. But thank you, God, I finally got somebody who understands me and loves me and meets my needs. It's really, really powerful. And so you can also understand that when the love bombing stops, what this stirs in the other party. Okay. Most of the time, it doesn't occur to people that the narcissist mask is simply slipping and they're showing you who they really are, that they sold you a bad bill of goods to get you. Okay. Most of the time, especially with women, I see this that they will blame themselves, try and figure out what's different now. What am I doing now? How come he doesn't love me like he used to? Okay. And so narcissists tend to be really good liars and they're not going to acknowledge the problem. Okay. Because God forbid there be a problem when we are very image conscious. Okay. But the person with the feelings of emptiness, Shanann, I believe in this case, she knew it. She knew something was different, that he was pulling back. Okay. And that's where we come to some of the most insensitive criticisms I've heard of Shanann. First of all, it's quite bold to take somebody's inventory negatively who's deceased that you didn't know. I don't know about you, but I got good news and bad news about me. And if I'm murdered, I certainly hope that you're not going to take apart the good news and the bad news about me, especially if you don't know me. Now, it isn't that I don't understand. I've seen the videos too, guys. And part of this has to do with MLM culture. MLMs are attractive to people who are needing something from work that's more than just employment. Okay. MLMs provide a support group. I mean, oftentimes they're online every day. Okay. And if you're a person who is maybe new to the area, maybe has a spouse who is stepping back and not quite as nurturing as they once were, this can feel really, really good. Okay. I got this group of friends. We get to go to conferences, and all the self-help gurus are at the conferences, and there's this amazing level of toxic positivity going on. And that need for validation does not come from a person who is beaming with narcissism. That need for validation is coming from a person who is painfully insecure. Okay. And arguably, some people are going to say, well, isn't that the basis of narcissism? Yes and no, but it's also the basis of other personality issues. And so all the videos that you're seeing, and again, I totally get why the hair on the back of your neck stands up and you're, ew, okay? I get it. First of all, there's pressure in that industry to post all those videos. You know, all that stuff with Shanann sort of peddling her wares with the new bars or whatever it was, and you're watching this and going, ew, that's part of that business. That's part of that industry. And I want you to really think about something for a second. What does it mean about you if you're missing so much validation in your life that you have to get it by working in MLM? Those aren't real friendships. I mean, some of them are. Please don't misunderstand me. You can meet some real friends through things, but a lot of those friendships end if you leave the MLM. So give that some thought, because what you're seeing there, like I say, which is a little skin crawly, I get it, may not mean what you think it means. Okay. And again, when your spouse is pulling away from you, your need for outside validation goes up. Something to affirm you and to affirm your personhood. And I can guarantee that when Chris started pulling away from Shanann, she addressed this with him. And what narcissists tend to do with that is gaslight. Oh, no, baby, everything's fine. Everything's wonderful. No, I'm just really tired from work. Okay. Those kind of responses and answers. And Shanann, being a person with chronic feelings of emptiness, is probably going to say, you know what, he's probably right. It probably is my problem. So I better go get these needs met in another way. Okay. And so there we got the MLM and the stuff that's kind of cringeworthy. And eventually, our nice guy started having an affair. Now, let's talk about how damn good at deception you have to be. If you're having an affair for over a year and your wife only suspects in the last month or so, And that's because, again, you have completely discarded her at that point, but we'll talk about that more in just a minute. Okay. He's playing both sides, keeping both women, love bombing Nicole, okay, and devaluing Shanann. But he's playing both sides and he's pulling this off. Okay. And I can guarantee, or almost guarantee, that he certainly wasn't telling Shanann that they're continuing to have marital relations and they're still walking around as the happy family. And I can guarantee that any of Shanann's spidey senses that were going off about the affair were squashed by him. Okay. Leading her to believe that she's insecure. There's an old cliche about affairs, and that is, I won't make you feel guilty if you don't make me feel crazy. Okay. And I kind of think it's apropos in this case. Now, this brings us to Nicole, who is also very evocative, very high demand, very passionate, very intense. He's got a type. And I can guarantee that he was love bombing the shit out of her. Okay. All the attention, all the love, all the nurturing. But again, not letting go of Shanann and the family wanting to sort of have his cake and eat it too. I'm sure Nicole knew he was married. I mean, we've seen the Facebook searches, but even if there wasn't Facebook, how come my kid came to your house? Okay. There are like really big red flags that somebody is married. But she, again, probably feeling like her needs have been met in a way that they never had been met before, love bombing, was going to take a chance and hold on. But she's not stupid either. Shanann wasn't stupid. Nicole's not stupid. Their spidey senses were going off that there's something wrong. And I think where the shit ultimately hit the fan in this case is when Shanann became pregnant with Nico. Chris could not hide that he was still having sex with his wife. After that went over beautifully with Nicole. And the one thing that Nicole thought she could give to Chris that Shanann had not was a son. And so not only is Shanann pregnant, she's pregnant with a boy. So I want you to imagine, again, very intense personality, intense mood fluctuations, likely a fear of abandonment. The fight that went on between she and Chris was probably outrageous. Okay. With rage, profound rage. And it probably was a deal maker or deal breaker, excuse me, which is why we start seeing him ultimately pulling away from and discarding Shanann. The word discarding is so interesting to me because discarding is something you do with trash. You throw it away. And yet narcissists do this. And Shanann was shocked. And I know some people are going, how could she be shocked? Okay. So this is how it rolls with narcissists. If you're a good source of supply, which Shanann was, okay, he's not going to let go of you until he is absolutely certain that he has another sure source of supply. And he can't have both. If he could have had both the rest of his life, he probably would have done it. And so, a couple months before her death, he's pulling away. And I don't mean not spending as much time. He doesn't want to have sex anymore. And one of the saddest things about this case is when you read the text of like the last month, and her trying so desperately to figure out what's going on with her husband. How come you don't want to be close to me anymore? What have I done wrong? Because it really was a surprise to her. See, because nothing had changed between she and him as far as she was concerned. They're that good. Okay. And if there was any sense, any spidey senses that there was greater distance between she and Chris, I can almost guarantee she blamed herself for that. Okay. And he gaslit her and said, no, there's nothing going on. There's nothing different. So this was terribly sad because we got a woman again who is trying to reach out to her husband, find out what the hell is going on, and he is discarding her. Now remember, when he rescued her, she already felt discarded. So now right before her death, she gets discarded again. So Nicole, shit's hit the fan. She's pregnant with Nico. I'm going to walk. I'm going to bail. I'm done with this. And so for Chris, it's kind of a what to do, what to do. If I leave my wife and kids, I'm the bad guy. And remember that, guys. Image is everything for somebody with a narcissistic personality. I'm the bad guy. If she splits, okay, and she's the bad guy, I'm justified in doing whatever it is that I do. Also, with a woman like Shanann, who again was very passionate, had very intense feelings, I'm going to suspect that there would have been a very punitive discussion at the very least, if not very punitive behavior. I mean, imagine it for a second that your spouse comes and says, I'm leaving you for somebody else. I'm sure, again, that it would have hit the fan. There would have been a lot of rage, a lot of punitive messages, maybe a lot of threats and things like that, okay, in that moment. So what happens next? I can't have the destruction of my family on my hands. I can't be that person. What am I going to do? Now, again, I know as you're watching this video, you've got to be thinking, well, who thinks that? A narcissist thinks that. A psychopath thinks that. But remember, image is everything. And I've already heard, by the way, Chris is really good at this, by the way. So, everything was Shanann's fault, per him. And of course, the people who buy into that nonsense, victim blaming. Now he's in prison saying that it was Nicole's fault that she put a spell on. I'm not saying that there wasn't an influence there, okay? Because again, she was pissed. That she was afraid of losing him. So I'm sure there's influence there. But Nicole didn't put a spell on you. You murdered your pregnant wife and children. And that, I don't know to what level her involvement was, but that doesn't in any way deflect from Chris. He made those decisions. So I want to just say, as I scroll through the YouTube pages, I am really, really disturbed by the level of victim blaming. Some of the things that have been said about Shanann are so shitty. Dare you spit on somebody's grave that you don't even know? Okay. People respond to insecurities in kinds of ways. Okay. Sometimes it's by becoming controlling. Sometimes it's by seeking validation in any way humanly possible. Sometimes it's by, running the show in your own household. But know up front, he knew he was marrying when he married her. Okay. So passive guys don't end up with more domineering women on accident. That formula works for both of them. Okay. Especially if you have a strong need to be the nice guy. Okay. If you're with a very subdued, passive little girl, it's going to be hard for you to be the nice guy. But if you're with somebody with a strong personality, very, very easy. So please keep that in mind, that unless you want your own inventory taken at your death over some images, pictures, and videos that really had more to do with your business than anything else, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. How would your family feel? I know how my family would feel. So in closing, what stirred, I think the reason that we're all again sort of pining for answers is this question of deception. And it makes me think of, some of you know the Bruce Springsteen song, Brilliant Disguise. There's a lyric in there that is that you, baby, are just a brilliant disguise. If Shanann could have bought it, Nicole bought it, I'm sure they weren't the first that bought it. Do we know the people in our lives as well as we think we do? And the fact that that triggers some anxiety for us, I think is fairly healthy. Because to be dismissive of that, obviously, would mean that you're not doing any critical thinking about the situation. To fixate on it, however, that's not healthy either. Just know up front that most people are not psychopaths. So no, it's probably not going to be the case. Most people that you know that are nice guys and nice gals have a dark side, just like the rest of us. We all have a shadow self, okay? But most of us aren't murderers. Most of us don't go that far. And then finally, I want to extend my heartfelt sympathy to Shanann's family, and just to tell you how sorry I am about the loss of your child and about the character assassination of your daughter. I can only begin to fathom the kind of pain that's caused for you and your family. And they're not going to say sorry, but I'm going to say sorry for them. I hope that you're going to be able to enjoy your memories of her. And in due time, and with God's love and support, be able to move forward. There's no such thing as closure when we lose somebody to death, but it does become less intense. May God bless you. And thank you so much for your time.